South MP Zara Sultana has suggested that Reform UK leader Nigel Farage is comparable to Hitler. In the bombshell interview with BBC's Nick Robinson, Sultana went further, saying Mr Farage and his Reform cronies are committed to peddling racism.
You say you want to stop Nigel Farage. Do you think he's a fascist?
I think Nigel Farage has proven that he is not on the side of working class people.
You're comparing Nigel Farage with Franco, with Mussolini, arguably with Adolf Hitler. Really?
I have legitimate concerns about what a Nigel Farage government would do.
Well, Nigel Farage's team has ridiculed her choice of words and suggested she should go back to school or buy herself a dictionary. So tonight I'm asking, is Nigel Farage really a fascist and a racist? And joining me now, writer and political commentator James Mathewson and Reform UK's Deputy Leader of Durham County Council, Darren Grimes. Thank you for joining me on this important topic, gentlemen. Darren, I'll start with you. Of course, we just played Sultana's comments there. What do you make of those?
Well, Alex, look, I've never heard of this Sultana woman, but I can only assume that she's a brand of Kellogg's, is she? Fruit and Nut? That springs to mind. I think actually she's so far divorced from reality that I don't think any member of the public ought to be taking a single lecture on fascism from a political movement that, quite frankly, has spent under Jeremy Corbyn decades of offering succour and support to every single group or state that wants to offer the hatred and vilification of Britain and the Western world. You know, they call the man that called the fascist label, the Hitler label, the Mussolini label, whatever else it might be, against Nigel Farage. I see it as being completely absurd for one reason. This is a man who defeated the poisonous element of the anti-Semitic British National Party, the BNP. And the irony is that it's the far left's extremism, Alex, and the far right's hatred that have converged as one. They're merged as one. It's exactly the same hatred within this anti-Jewish stance. And that's what we're seeing play out on the streets of Britain. So I would say this to Miss Sultana: the real danger to our country is the toxic alliance of a coalition of Marxist ideologues, of Islamist extremists, and the woke elites. And far too many, by the way, of James's favourite Labour MPs have far too many sympathies with that very movement.
OK, James, I'll let you take over from here.
Well, Darren's just told a lie. He said he didn't know who Zara Sultana is. Do you want to correct that, Darren?
Well, I think we'll just carry on with the debate, James. What do you make of Darren's comments overall? He might have...
We don't carry on with the debate when he's just lied.
I'm in charge of the debate tonight. We'll let Darren respond in just a second. I'm in charge of the debate, so we will carry on.
We've had the whole point of the conversation is this, and the whole point of the debate is this. Darren and me have talked about Zara Sultana, so for him to open by saying, I don't know who this Sultana woman is a lie. So that needs to be pointed out. Anyway,
I do actually find it quite extraordinary, Alex, that we're not talking about the desensitisation of all the horror that's taken place on our streets, and instead we want to act on pedantry around whether or who or not I know this Sultana.
You just lied on national TV.
I did not just lie.
Why should anybody believe anything you say from here on out?
James, can we get to the context of the debate? Because I do really want to focus on the debate. Because I think, gentlemen, because I just want to clarify, because I think this debate is really important to the public domain. We do need to talk about what our politicians say. And James, I want you to tell me why you think Darren's comments are wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And Darren is a politician who's just lied, so it's important that we point that out. But moving on from that, Nigel Farage, obviously, you know, Darren's boss, is somebody who many people in the British public have concerns about. I'm not going to talk about Zara Sultana's comments in particular. I don't support Zara Sultana. I don't support her party.
You just said that's what we're here to do.
I don't... What's that?
You just said that's what we're here to do. So get on with it.
We're here to talk about
to
Farage.
talk about Zara bloody Sultana.
No, we're not. Well, you just do. But I'm amazed you even know who she is now, Darren. But what I'm pointing out is the fact that you're a politician, Darren, and you've just lied on national TV. This is the point. This goes into a narrative of what I'm talking about with Nigel Farage, is that we've got here, when we talk about the word fascism, right, we've got a lot of people on the right of politics in America, in Britain, in the Western world, who take great issue with that term being used, but they're not looking at the definition of that term and what that term points to. And of course, fascists are never going to admit to being fascists. So then when you've got people who like to lie off the cuff like Darren, people like Nigel Farage, who regularly conceal their own opinions about things, then how can people trust and know that they do not believe these things? I mean, the dictionary definition of fascism is a far-right ideology based in nationalism with authoritarian characteristics, right? So when we look at Nigel Farage and his history, his credit as a politician, this is a man who has aspired to be like Enoch Powell. He said he's an inspiration to him. He's an ultra-nationalist who talks about culture war stuff regularly when we know this isn't a reality, most of it. He's appeared on conspiracy theory-driven media such as InfoWars in America, which is now banned. He was on that 6 times. This is a man who will play to the worst parts of our society in the hope of dividing communities to try and gain power for himself. There's no clearer description of what fascism is.
Darren, back to you.
Well, I think you'll find that actually the Italian fascists did declare themselves to be fascists, and that's where it actually, going back to that movement, they very much did. So I'm afraid you need to go back and read your history books. But look, ultimately, I think what I would say to both Sultana and your guests' comments is that we are being desensitized to horror every single week. Every single night on this very channel, there are reports of terrible crimes that are happening at the hands of people who ought not ever have been here. And Reform UK are the only necessary antidote to that crisis. And for many of us, the wake-up call has come loud and clear. The wake-up call for me was Manchester Arena, but everyone will have their wake-up call. And that systemic failure has gotten worse. The savagery that we see now, a quarter of all sexual assault convictions last year were from migrants. Now, that's an official statistic.
Here we go again.
Actually, I think
Here we go with what I was talking about.
All of these issues that actually point back to the fact that we are a broken Britain. And there is only one politician actually standing up to that. And for James to dismiss that as culture war topics, by the way, you tell that to every victim in this country that has been murdered because of the fact that your politicians have allowed this to happen to our country.
My politicians?
To be damn well ashamed.
Who are my politicians?
Gentlemen, unfortunately, we've run out of time. We've run out of time there. I'll have you both back on so we can finish this debate. How about that? I think the audience would like to see a round 2 on this one. James Mathewson, political commentator and writer there.